Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Drawings by Trent YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about why and when we decided to have another child after Trent. So let's get to it. All right, as I said, today we're going to be talking about why and when we decided to have another child. So do you want to start that, Andrea?
Sure. When we got married, we always talked about having 4 or 5 kids. That was always the number, 4 or 5. And Trent was our third. I remember he turned 12 months old, I think, around there. And we liked our kids being close in age. Our first 2 were almost 3 years, and that was kind of just circumstantial. But
yeah, I remember kind of being like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, we better get on the ball.
Yeah, it's getting away from us.
So Trent had just turned a year, and we knew something was different with him, like we talked about in the last episode. But so I remember saying to you, if we're going to have another one, I think we need to do it.
And I remember saying to you, let's get busy. It wasn't exactly how it went, but weren't we in the kitchen or something?
Yeah, we were in the kitchen. And then from there went, let's decide if this is our last one or not.
Yeah.
I think we decided that pretty quickly. I think we would have liked to have had 5, but we already knew something was up with Trent and weren't sure what that was going to be like. Yeah. And so we're like, let's just do it. Let's just have one more.
We took that approach with a lot of things in our life. A lot of decisions that we made, including the business. We're like, well, let's just do it. It's here. Let's go. We talked off camera that like the timeline of this. So we talked in the last episode about when Trent was diagnosed, which was just a few months before he turned 3. So this would have been a year and a half or something.
Yeah, he was, talking about the timeline earlier, he would have been 15 months old when I became pregnant with the last one. So we probably started talking
with TJ
about it around 12 months old.
Around 12 months. And we knew something was wrong. There were signs. He was doing things that the other kids did not do. He was not doing things that the other kids did do. And so we knew it was like something's going on here. Something isn't right, but we didn't have a word or name for it.
Well, and I kind of felt like whatever was going on with Trent shouldn't be a factor in whether or not we have another child.
Yeah.
I really felt like if we had decided to wait, or if we had decided to not have another child, I think we might have regretted that. Just because what would Trent's life had been like had he had a younger sibling? Because they really did do a lot of things together.
Had he not had a younger sibling.
Yeah. What would his life would have been like if he had not had a younger sibling?
Yeah. And we'll never know because, as we say, I jumped on the chance when she offered it. Hey, are we going to have another kid? Yep. And yeah, I remember some conversation about, the difficulties we were having with Trent, being unsure about how that was going to go in the future. But you remember probably the best piece of advice my mother ever gave me was about having children. And she said, if you wait until you have the money to have a child, you will never have a child. Now, I think she was trying to be wise in that. And we were just like, okay. And it's just like jumped into having children and and you really do, you figure it out. And I don't think any of them would say, like, they would say because of Trent, they might have had a difficult childhood in some respects, but I don't think any of them would say they had a bad childhood. I
don't think so.
They all talk like they enjoyed their childhood, the things that we did, and so all right, we didn't go to Disney every other year
At all.
We have never been to
But also,
Disneyland, and that's not entirely true. You and I did go for our 30th anniversary
didn't go to
to
Disneyland.
Universal Studios
Disney World.
and SeaWorld. We did not go to Disney World though,
But we never really had the desire to take our kids there,
no.
especially with Trent. I mean,
Yeah, that would have been difficult. And we did. They have experiences of going to my family and live in the greater Northwest, so Oregon, Idaho.
we made that drive
we took
often.
some trips. We've made that drive too often, a bunch of times. But so they got experiences. They got to do stuff. They enjoyed life. But if you're worried about what it's going to be like, then you don't ever do anything.
Yeah. When I was pregnant with TJ, Trent was a toddler, and he was 1. He turned 2 just right when TJ was born. But Trent was very possessive of me. He didn't get upset when the other 2 kids were around me, but if any other children were around me, he would get angry and attack them. And so I was very nervous about when the baby would be born, how he would treat the baby. But he loved on him. He would hold his head and kiss his head. Eventually it turned into pulling his hair.
Yeah.
So TJ had a really short haircut a lot of the time.
We know lots of families with multiple children and neurotypical children who pulled their siblings' hair and
Right.
treated them poorly. So, I mean, that's not really the big deal. We used to joke. You remember there was a Bugs Bunny cartoon where they had Daffy Duck and the Abominable Snowman, and Abominable would pick up Daffy Duck and he'd hold him and he'd rub his little head. I will love him and squeeze him and call him George.
Yeah.
And he did all these things, but he did them really harshly. And that was kind of
love him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of Trent.
It was.
With TJ. He didn't really necessarily know his own strength. And so we had to watch him, but he, generally speaking, was very careful with TJ.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything outside of some of the hair pulling, and then, like you said, cutting his hair short eliminated that, so it wasn't an issue. But I don't remember anything that Trent did that. I remember uncles, your brothers, dropping the kids on their heads and stuff when they were playing, but I don't remember Trent doing
It's a different
things
episode.
like that to TJ.
Trent would do things that scared TJ that scared all of us.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't any different. It wasn't at TJ.
Right.
Ever.
Right. And when Trent was younger and he was gonna, Trent's always had the ability to intuitively know the alpha personality in a room. And so if he was in school and something made him mad, he would run across the room to whoever that alpha personality was, and he would go after them. And so I don't know how that worked, but it's he didn't if he got mad and angry and he was going to hurt somebody, it really wasn't going to be TJ. Probably it was going to be me if I was home, or Andrea, or Trevor, or Tristan.
Before it'd be TJ.
Before it would be TJ, yeah. So not to say that he didn't get hurt at times, but
right. But the positive side of having a little brother and having delays himself was that they did a lot of things together.
Yeah, right.
TJ was his first playmate. I mean, it was still parallel play, but they had,
Trent never engaged or interacted with others
but it was kind of the same interest.
Yeah.
And they potty trained at the same time.
Yeah.
TJ was delayed also in a lot of things, and he potty trained at 4, and Trent was 6.
so they did things together.
Yeah.
And it didn't take long, obviously, until TJ surpassed Trent
Right.
in pointing and talking and those kind of things.
Yeah.
Trent was
it was obvious.
still way behind in that stuff, but it was good for Trent to have somebody. I guess maybe we could say who was his size. I mean, TJ's never been Trent's size, but I mean, the little, in diapers, small, to kind of do things with.
I think TJ could take him now, though.
TJ probably could.
He's strong.
Man. Yeah, but they did things together. You remember when the guys came over and prayed with us and Trent ran and got TJ and used his name and pulled him in. So I think Trent for Trent anyway, I think there's been kind of there was something there anyway when they were younger, some connection that maybe
he didn't have
with the other kids.
Right.
Of course, Tristan was Trent's second mom, partly because she was a girl and Trevor didn't need her. And so
yeah. And she just innately
just natural
nurtured him.
Yeah. Yeah. And TJ too. Like she'd grab TJ when Trent would go on a tear, she'd grab TJ and run into the room. TJ didn't know what was going on. And so she would help him and protect him in that way.
We feel very fortunate that Tristan is actually very close to all three of her brothers.
Yeah.
I would say she has a great relationship with all of them. It's good.
Does that make her the what's the word? The peacemaker in the family? I'll answer that question. No, it doesn't.
I was going to say, I don't know that I'd say that. But she definitely loves them.
Yeah.
A lot.
And she has a unique relationship, I think, with each of the boys. And again, on a lot of that, all of the kids' personalities and who they are as people has a lot to do with having Trent in their life. And
although they're all very, very different.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely helped them build character.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of the people
sympathy and empathy and just the way they deal with things in life and handle things. And so like all things, that was difficult. It was difficult going through that. And the kids, it was difficult on the kids when they were struggling with that. It'd be in school and Trent would, other kids would ask about Trent, was like, that's your brother or whatever. Tristan was always the most protective about that, I think. But, difficult things develop us. And so, it was good. It's good for all of us. It's been good for all of us. It's allowed us to do things and brought us to places in life that we never thought we'd be, as we said in the earlier episode. And I think the same is true for the kids. They're doing things. Certainly Tristan's whole job, career path, trajectory has been influenced by Trent, and even Trevor, our oldest, who's going to go work on his doctorate in percussion performance, at least right now, plans on writing his dissertation about music and I think in particular percussion for individuals with special needs. So that's pretty cool. And TJ climbs trees every day.
That's right.
But yeah, even in our children's relationships with other people, there are traits and things that we see, and that's played a big part. This question in this episode really started with why and when did you decide to have another child? And so wrap that up for us, Andrea.
We decided to have another child because we always wanted a big family. We wanted 4 or 5 kids. Also at the time, we knew something was different with Trent, but we weren't going to let that be the deciding factor as to whether or not we have more children. Because children are all different. I mean, it just wasn't going to be a factor.
And because we enjoyed the process. So.
Okay. I am not a parent. Not yet, anyway. And so I don't feel like I have a right to say much on this topic. So I guess as a sibling of someone on the spectrum, I guess that's where I'm going to be speaking from. So I guess just take this with a grain of salt. But I do know a lot of families who have kids on the spectrum. I know a lot of families who have one child on the spectrum and the rest neurotypical. Or, a few on the spectrum and a few neurotypical. I feel like the decision to have another child after one of your children is diagnosed. I mean, you got to know what you're signing yourself up for, I guess. I do know families that have purposefully stopped having children after their last child was diagnosed. I do know families that kept having children after their last was diagnosed. And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to this. I think it depends on the family. Maybe that you can't devote more of your time to another child because one of your children needs a lot of attention and a lot of support. And I think that's totally fine. I think it's admirable that you, are taking that look at yourself and deciding that for your family. I think obviously the parents, both parents have a big say in that. I'm really glad that I have a younger brother. He's definitely, I feel like all four of us kids are like super different from each other. I don't feel like we have a ton in common, but we have a lot of love. And I'm really glad that my parents had another child after Trent. And it gives you like a different perspective. I don't think that it's, taking away anything from having, I don't think it's taking away from the child that you decide to have after one of them was diagnosed. I think all of us grew up with a lot more grace and a lot more patience because of Trent. And just like the way that Trent acted with TJ, my youngest brother, was so different than the way that he acted with me and my older brother. He would always say that TJ was the baby. He really likes babies. He likes to touch their head. And I feel like it's just really sweet that Trent had that opportunity to have someone younger than him. And I don't know, I just feel like people who have a child after one of their children is diagnosed, it just holds so much more possibility. And I think that Trent and TJ are better for having each other in their lives. I think that even if it was hard sometimes, even if Trent was a little too loving or a little too hands-on with TJ, I mean, it taught him a lot. It taught Trent a lot to have a younger brother, and it taught TJ a lot to have Trent. So I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, but I'm really glad that my parents had another.
Colorado fireman.
This one is for Chuck Trotter or Trottier. Not sure.
Thanks for the stars, Amy. And Jenny, thanks for the star. And Mark. Hi, Stacy Hogan.
This is an awesome drawing here. Trent, you're doing so good.
Whoa.
That's very impressive. Trent, is the F for flamingo or F for fireman?
And for fireman.
It's fantastic.
Saskatchewan. I just like.
So, thanks for joining us. If this episode of Drawings by Trent YouTube encouraged you or you found it educational some way or inspired you, like, share it with your family or friends, comment, and subscribe. It helps us. It helps Trent, and helps other people find the channel and resources and encouragement and education and inspiration for their own lives, the challenges they're going through. So
Tune in for our next episode where we're doing a Q&A.
ooh, Q&A.
Yeah, where we're doing a Q&A. Bye.
Goodbye.